Spider-Man, Spider-Man. What's up, everyone? It's me, GOCARLO, and it's the season finale of your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. So, we're gonna get straight into it. Remember, it's spoilers, so we're gonna give you guys a second, but I want you guys to leave a comment below and let us know what you thought about this season finale. But what I will say is, it's even better when you watch it a second time. And this completely blew me away, and I thought they did a really good job with it, and it's one of my favorite moments ever now. So we're gonna get started. The episode starts off with Doc Ock in jail, when suddenly he gets a visitor, and it's Norman Osborn. So he says that they've really expanded Oscorp. They've almost expanded to space. He starts rubbing it into Octavius's face that not everything went as planned after he exited Oscorp. So Norman Osborn reveals that it was him who put together all the clues and tipped off the Avengers to come arrest him. And Oscorp is revealing that now they were able to retrieve all his inventions, and Otto Octavius says, now you're going to use my inventions as your own. And Octavius says, I'll get you for this. Then we switch over to Lonnie Lincoln with Big Don and Bulldozer, Big E's character. So they say that the bad guy from the last episode that we met tipped them off to this. To do this job, they're going to have to take out the cops, and Lonnie says he's not down for that part. Big Don tells him to relax, and he says pretty soon he'll have more weapons than Stark. We get a scene of Pearl and Nico where Pearl says she'll always have Nico's back. After that, Nico hears the voicemail that Peter left her explaining everything about how he's Spider-Man from the last episode. But then we cut to a robbery in progress. So Big Don makes the signal and the gang crashes their car into the cops and they sideswipe the Oscorp van. So the truck is trying to make an escape until it actually makes it to where Nico is at. The truck goes out of control and is about to hit Nico, but she sticks out her medallion and we see the reflection of Spider-Man. So he swings to the rescue, but this is where it's revealed he has the classic red and blue suit. Now we're all happy to see it, but it has a couple little details that are different, like the bottom of his shoes. Right behind Spider-Man's back is Lonnie and the gang, and he doesn't even realize what truck they stopped. It was an Oscorp truck, and the people are about to start looting from it. Just when you think nobody's looking and they start to break into the truck, Spider-Man comes back. It's awesome to see Spider-Man beating up all the bad guys until he lands on Lonnie Lincoln and he has to stop himself. Bulldozer steps in when he gets webbed down, and Spider-Man tells Lonnie, dude, you shouldn't be here, that's when his spider senses go off. The Scorpion arrives, and behind him is the rest of his gang. Okay, so it's a battle between the 1 and 10th Street gang and the Scorpions. The Scorpion tells Spider-Man he's just a little piñata. So as the Scorpion approaches, Spider-Man actually gets kind of nervous. So the Scorpion is battling with Big Don and he's about to take him out when Spider-Man is able to web down his tail. Then it becomes a big one-on-one sequence between Spider-Man and the Scorpion. So Lonnie Lincoln finds Big Don and Big Don ditches everyone. Lonnie was just asking him, what are we gonna do? And he was out. So Lonnie Lincoln tells Bulldozer to watch out for the truck, and Carmela Black is there. They get into a big fight. They're able to disarm her. That's when Lonnie Lincoln goes inside the van and he knocks something over and it starts releasing gas into the air. It's very much a superhero origin story, but in this case you could tell that we're talking about a supervillain origin story. We go back to the battle between the Scorpion and Spider-Man, and it's awesome until suddenly the Scorpion strikes an electric box and he electrocutes himself. That's when Spider-Man swings over to Lonnie Lincoln, who's knocked out. He started to wake up in Spider-Man's arms, but the Scorpion is also getting back on his feet. So Peter's trying to wake up Lonnie, but the Scorpion grabs Spider-Man by his neck with his tail and starts choking him. Lonnie pops out of nowhere and tells him to drop it. That's when the Scorpion throws Spider-Man, and Lonnie's approaching. It looks like the Scorpion kills Lonnie, but he was able to grab the Scorpion's stinger, and he breaks the sharp point from his tail. So Lonnie got some new powers. Spider-Man says, usually I tell you to start running, but I could use your help. So Spider-Man and Lonnie team up to fight the Scorpion this time. And finally, the Scorpion takes a double knockout punch by Spider-Man and Lonnie Lincoln, aka Tombstone. But that's when the Scorpion extends his tail all the way up and knocks down some beams that were being held up by a crane, and they fall on top of Spider-Man. Spider-Man gets flashbacks to what Norman Osborn told him, that he's holding himself back. After that, Spider-Man webs down the Scorpion, and he doesn't hold back. He unleashes punches on him. That's when he grabs the Scorpion's tail and he goes to stab him with it, but Lonnie holds him back. Spider-Man says he tried to kill me, he tried to kill you, but Lonnie said, you don't want to be like him. People look up to you. Don't be that way. So Spider-Man thanks him for the help, but he says they should probably get out of there. We cut to Nico, and she's looking for Spider-Man, and it almost looks like the scene from Spider-Man 1 where they kiss, but instead she punches him in the face. She says she found out about his secret, not the way she wanted to, but she wants to continue being best friends. And Peter says no more secrets. But now it's Nico who's the one who's holding secrets. We cut to Peter watching TV with Aunt May when Norman Osborn calls. Mr. Osborn knows what Spider-Man did, and he thanks him and he convinces him to stay. He even knows that a few items in the Oscorp truck were damaged. Specifically, what broke and gave Lonnie superpowers. He says he should have 100 Spider-Mans, and even Peter agrees, because that would take a lot of the load off of their work. They also say Matt Gargan is in jail now, the Scorpion. Peter tells him he was thinking about what he said about with great power comes great respect. Spider-Man says he feels that he went too far when he almost didn't pull his punches. But Osborn says being a hero is a tough journey. There's going to be times where you stray, but you always come back, and that's what matters. So they end that conversation, and that's when Norman Osborn says you could send them in now, and they start pulling up the designs for the Green Goblin glider. But then they start talking about Peter's invention, the magnetic generator. And it's also revealed that with Peter's blood test, they were able to create a spider that can reproduce the Spider-Man powers. So they created the spider that bit Spider-Man. And that's the end of the episode, guys. So that was Hero or Menace. And one thing I will say is that concept at the end, where we see that Osborn created the spider that bit Spider-Man, that's a concept I've seen in the Miles Morales comics, and it's been used before, and it gets pretty interesting. But guys, there's one more episode for the season. So this is the season finale. So we're going to get right into it, guys. If This Be My Destiny. And this is going to be the first and only episode where we see the classic red and blue Spider-Man suit in the intro. The episode starts off with the coach of the school on the loudspeaker talking about how they're looking for a new head of the team for next year, and they're hoping that they get new players because Lonnie isn't on the team. So we see Spider-Man in a parking garage, and Harry is telling him Nico texted him about about a project, and Peter says, don't worry about it. So this episode starts off and has a really good quality to it, like we're watching a movie. So Peter's late to class and they're trying to cover for him, but he arrives right when it's time to do the presentation. But surprisingly, that's when the third teammate picks up the slack for the whole team. Then we go to Peter's internship at Oscorp, when Norman Osborn walks in and says he's going to be overseeing the final stages of their internship. Dr. Connor says they thought everything was set up on this floor, but Norman Osborn says that they're moving to a more secure location. So Norman Osborn says, welcome to Project Monolith, the most ambitious venture in Oscorp history. And remember guys, this is when it gets even better when you watch it a second time. So this is thanks to a star map that one of the interns drew up. And they used quantum tunneling by Amadeus, the character played by Alex Lee. It's a gateway to outer space. And it's Peter Parker's magnetic generator that holds it all together. So Norman Osborn is stealing people's inventions. And this makes instant teleportation possible. And he compares these portals to Doctor Strange's portals from the first episode. They say that this is the same way that the monster came to Earth and attacked Midtown High, the alien symbiote from the first episode. Dr. Connor tells him to watch out because you don't know what you could be inviting here. Norman Osborn says we can't wait for the flawed Avengers. He says we have to become as formidable as the ones we look at, such as gods. The interns say we didn't agree to this, and Mr. Osborn says he has his best interest at heart. And Peter could barely get a word out when they punch in the coordinates and they open the portal. And that's when Doctor Strange appears. Doctor Strange says, Norman Osborn, your experiment should no longer continue. You're experimenting with the cosmos. He says you can't comprehend the consequences, and by the Sorcerer Supreme, he has to put an end to it. So Norman Osborn didn't know that Doctor Strange was there that day from the first episode, and he blames him for the destruction. But Doctor Strange says he doesn't remember any of that. So at first you're thinking, oh, this is a different Doctor Strange from a different multiverse. But if you've seen what happens already, it's actually because it didn't happen yet. You'll see what we're talking about. Doctor Strange calls Norman Osborn delusional, but somehow Norman Osborn is able to disarm Doctor Strange. He goes to open the portal, but Doctor Strange breaks free. But he can't stop his portal from being opened. Seems like we're looking into space. Osborn says congratulations, look, no imaginable horrors. And that's when we see another alien symbiote pop through, and this one looks even bigger. Actually, no, it's the same one we've seen, and you'll know why in a second. So Doctor Strange is in a battle with the alien symbiote. Peter's able to put his costume on. So this thing is strong, and eventually it knocks Spider-Man into a room full of animals. And that's when you see that Spider-Man broke open the cage containing the spider that gave him powers. So Doctor Strange is trying to save Norman Osborn. Then Peter arrives. Osborn says, believe me, I never thought any of this would happen. But Peter says, you gotta get out of here. Spider-Man and Doctor Strange actually introduce themselves to each other. Doctor Strange opens a portal and Spider-Man kicks him into it. But Doctor Strange tells Spider-Man he wasn't supposed to dive through the portal with the aliens, so he has to pull him back. They need to get this thing back where it came from. So Doctor Strange has to hold off the symbiote until they can get Osborn's portal back open. And to me it seems like Doctor Strange actually has a few of the gems. Strange is able to open another portal, but it knocks both of them into it. Spider-Man doesn't go into this portal, and that's when it's revealed to be a time loop. This is the portal that opened up in the first episode that Doctor Strange and the alien symbiote came through. And this is crazy because we're seeing the first episode being retold. And the spider that bit Spider-Man in the first place, we're seeing how it got there. it came through the portal. And this is crazy because this deals with not multiverses, but I think of it as time travel, and it really, really digs deep into a lot of time travel concepts. So eventually they make it back. Peter opens Octavius's portal, but it doesn't help. It just reveals a bigger monster. So eventually Spider-Man is able to send the symbiote back into the portal, but it only makes it stronger. So Spider-Man has to seal the portal somehow. Before the alien can make it back into the portal, they have to break all the equipment. They're able to do it in time, but one piece of the symbiote is able to come through. But I don't think they noticed that. And that's when the battle ends. That's when we cut to Harry and Peter and Nico and Aunt May in the apartment. And on the news, they're talking about what happened at Oscorp. Aunt May says, I'm tired of hearing about Oscorp. And even Harry Osborn says, so am I, because he's getting a lot of hate online somehow. So they're asking Peter, is his internship over? They want to know, what about him being Spider-Man? Harry says his dad still wants to help Peter, if he wants to help. Peter says the internship was awesome, but he doesn't know if he can trust Oscorp. Harry says if it was up to him, he would just let you guys do your own thing. And Nico says, why don't you? So they convince Harry to do this whole new internship and do it his way. Or a whole new company and do it his way. And the point of it is to hire smart people like Peter and let them do their thing. Then we see Spider-Man swinging, and he meets up with Doctor Strange. He asked him if he time traveled, and he said yes. And what happened here was a mistake that should have been prevented. Doctor Strange says lives could have been altered, but Spider-Man says that that was the day he became the hero he is. Then it cuts back to Norman Osborn at the wreckage of the portal, and that's when he finds the piece of alien symbiote. So you know he's going to start experimenting and researching with it. We cut to Harry Osborn writing a message on his computer, the Worldwide Engineering Brigade Web, where he invites all the interns we've met and more to be a part of it. Then we see one of the interns is actually working with Daredevil, and they're wearing a costume and everything. She says that Harry Osborn is following in the footsteps of his father, but he seems to have good intentions. And Daredevil tells her to keep an eye on him, so it's revealed that she's his sidekick. We cut to Lonnie on the phone with his mom talking about colleges. We see Bulldozer pop up without Big Don. Lonnie takes the driver's seat, and this is when we start to see he's taking charge of the gang, and he ditches his classic jacket he's been wearing all season. We cut to Nico getting a message from Harry Osborn, but she doesn't check it. It seems that she's doing magic and she's gonna talk to her mom. So there's a lot of secrets and people are wondering what it's about. One of them being Nico. But honestly, I didn't look this up because I don't want everything to be spoiled. I did look up the thing about Daredevil's sidekick, but from what I saw, people don't know everything about this stuff still. Then we see Otto Octavius, Dr. Octopus, in jail. He draws all over the walls, the classic Doc Ock tentacles. Then we switch to Aunt May visiting jail. What could she be doing there? She seemed to be hiding something this season. Could it be her boyfriend? But then it's revealed who she's visiting is asking, how's my son? And it has to be Peter's father. And we've never seen that in a Spider-Man universe that I've seen. We get one final scene of Spider-Man swinging through the city, and that is the end of the season. I will say, guys, the journey was worth it. I thought this last episode gave us so many twists and such a good battle. The time travel concepts, oh my god, I'm not even going to tell you how deep it is. But I thought that was such a good story being told. You even see the Watcher from the Marvel What If comics and animation pop up after Spider-Man and Doctor Strange are talking at the end. There's so many questions still to be answered. The Green Goblin is building his glider. You got Nico with magic powers. You got Daredevil's new sidekick. They're opening portals to other multiverses. In the end credits, there's even some concept art of Daredevil's new sidekick, Laura. But that's it for this season of Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, guys. I gotta end this episode. It's been me, GOCARLO, and I really hope you enjoyed these reviews. They were really more of a explained, your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man explained, but you got a lot of my thoughts. And I will also say shout outs to the character designer of the series. I really think that's one of the strong points of the series. And also the cell shading 3D animation and the music. And I loved it all, guys. But that's it. Spider-Man.